For trans youth care.
We've got an alert day for two separate alerts in the area, two separate warnings, the latest coming up.
And police in Stockton, California arrest a suspected serial killer.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The nation's first trial over a state's ban on gender-confirming care for children begins in Arkansas this week. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the latest fight over restrictions on transgender youth. U.S. District Judge Jay Moody will hear testimony and evidence starting today over the law he blocked prohibiting such care for anyone under 18 years old. Trial is expected to last 2 weeks and is the latest fight over transgender youth restrictions. Arkansas's attorneys argue the ban is part of the state's authority to regulate medical practices. Families of transgender youth and multiple medical organizations have criticized the ban. Arkansas became the first state to enact such a ban last year. Well, a Joplin teen is dead after a car filled with juveniles crashes near Grand Falls. It happened shortly before midnight Saturday night near Deer Drive and Dove Drive in Joplin. Officers at the scene found 2 of the teens ejected from the vehicle. One sustained moderate injuries and the other was pronounced dead at the hospital. 2 other occupants suffered minor injuries. The Joplin Police Major Crash Team is still investigating the accident. Ascension Via Christi is closing its Fort Scott Family Medicine Clinic November 11th. Its emergency department will remain open. As that clinic closes, Girard Medical Center is stepping in. They'll take over the practice at 109 South Main, and anyone who goes to the family clinic wants to continue receiving care there must request a transfer of medical records. Phone number to call to make that happen is on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Some local teens will soon start rebuilding Joplin's landmarks for Lego projects as they participate in a program called Iconic Joplin. Lisa Nelson came up with the idea for the program when she was building with Legos with her son. She realized the younger generation does not really know about the landmarks and history of Joplin. She came up with an idea to use Legos, engineering, and STEM practices as a way to help 12 to 16-year-old teens discover careers by building landmarks with Legos. She says this will help them decide what they want to pursue in the future.
Middle schoolers are a critical audience to reach, to understand what they're interested in and give them some exposure to how they can take those interests in math and science and engineering and tech and what those careers would look like.
Competition begins in December as teams gather together and start planning their projects. Deadline and judging will be in June of next year. When a restaurant is coming to Pittsburgh, KOAM has confirmed that Ihop, the International House of Pancakes, will open a restaurant in Pittsburgh sometime in mid-2023. It's going to be located at 200 West Centennial, where Gusano's Pizza used to be. Ihop says it'll announce an exact opening date as it gets closer. Well, we had a bit of a chilly start to the day today. Chris Warner joins us with a first look.
Yeah, we've got an alert day for 2 separate sets of warnings now in effect in the area. For parts of southwest Missouri and southeast Kansas, a red flag warning until 8, and then a freeze warning for everybody until 10 o'clock tomorrow. We can take a look at those on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. So these counties in the pink color are the ones that are under the red flag warning now through 8 because we've got some gusty winds building into the area. And then this light blue color is the freeze warning that's in effect for every county in our viewing area through 10 a.m. tomorrow. And this one kicks in at midnight tonight. Right now, 7th and range line, the skies are clear. It's starting to get a little bit on the blustery side out there. Temperatures across the area are looking good, though. Chilly, but good. 47 Iola, 48 Fort Scott, 49 Pittsburgh, 50 Joplin and Neosho, and 52 in Grove. And because of the breeze, we have some wind chills to deal with. They're not significant, but they're there. 41 is what it feels like in Iola, 41 Fort Scott, and 48 in Neosho. Going through the rest of the day, we're still expected to reach a high of about 56 degrees with those windy conditions. And we also want to remind folks, too, of a traffic alert we have for our friends in Joplin, especially a lot of folks travel range line, 36th and range line. There's road work that's beginning now, and the right-hand northbound lane is going to be closed as they work to add a new right turn lane in. And as a general reminder, there will be a lot of work going on to improve this intersection through November. We're going to take a bigger look at the forecast and some roller coaster temperatures here in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, police say they've arrested a possible serial killer who has been terrorizing residents in California's Central Valley. 43-year-old Wesley Brownlee is suspected of killing 5 men since July. Stockton's police chief says when his officers found and arrested Brownlee, he was dressed in black, wore a mask around his neck, and had a handgun. They believe he was out hunting for another possible victim. Brownlee is expected to be arraigned tomorrow on murder charges. Well, mortgage rates are at their highest since 2002, and those skyrocketing rates are helping cool some of the country's hottest housing markets. Danya Bacchus reports.
Inflation, soaring mortgage rates, and record high prices are making it extremely hard for many Americans to buy a home.
It is very expensive.
Housing affordability is down 29% from a year ago. Consistent Fed rate hikes are also putting pressure on the real estate market.
We have seen mortgage rates double in just this year. And in some markets, we are starting to see prices go down from those sky-high levels.
Nationwide, home prices soared 43% in 2 years. But now in cities that had those massive spikes, prices are being slashed. The fastest cooling markets are Seattle, Las Vegas, San Jose, San Diego, Sacramento, and Denver. Holding strong are Chicago, Albany, and Milwaukee.
A year ago, people were buying homes sight unseen, multiple offers. It's a good time to put an offer on a house at a lower number.
LA realtor Craig Strong says buyers and sellers need to adapt to the changing market, especially during fall's traditional home sales slowdown.
It's just a changing market. 2008, that was a crash landing. I feel it's going to be a softer landing. It's going to be over a period of time as people get adjusted to the new rates and the new purchase price.
Experts say despite the price cuts, the average monthly mortgage payment is still higher than if you bought a home at the peak of the market. But if the rate drops, you can always refinance to ease the pain. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Burbank, California.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, Christie's prepares to auction off a $1 billion art collection. And later, we're making a Julia Child favorite, beef bourguignon. Famous masterpieces belonging to the late Microsoft billionaire Paul Allen are expected to bring in record-breaking bids at an auction in New York next month. The works of art are on display in London ahead of the sale, and CBS's Ian Lee is there.
The art world is abuzz. Rarely does a billionaire's bounty go up for sale.
Well, this will be a historic moment for the art world.
150 pieces from Microsoft co-founder Paul Allen's estate will be put under the hammer.
He bought with an extremely careful eye. He was a man who really understood the artworks and their individual significance.
It's being described as the sale of the century, featuring artwork spanning 500 years.
It's by value the greatest auction ever put on in terms of the range and quality of the masterpiece. It's the greatest ever put on.
And they won't go cheap. Some pieces, like this Cezanne landscape, are expected to fetch over $100 million.
It's going to be a sale which we assume will make well in excess of the $1 billion.
Another capturing attention is this Botticelli.
It's the most fascinating because it's the only painting from before 1700 in the whole collection. It's the only Renaissance work, and it's one of the greatest Renaissance paintings in private hands.
For folks with a little less pocket change, there are some pieces ranging in the low millions. Collectors from around the world are expected to bid on the billionaire's treasures when they're sold on November 9th. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
All proceeds from next month's auction will be given to charity. During his lifetime, Paul Allen donated more than $2.65 billion to charitable organizations. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Beef bourguignon. Beef bourguignon. Beef bourguignon. If only I could say it like Julia Child did.
Don't worry, I can't either. But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
Well, we've had an alert day active since yesterday because of the freeze warning taking effect later tonight, but now we get to add another warning on top of that as parts of southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri under a red flag warning now through 8 o'clock thanks to some increasing northerly winds out there. And then the entire area is under a freeze warning until 10 o'clock tomorrow. Skywatch Storm Tracker clear, but it's really colorful when it comes to these warnings. So Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties in southeast Kansas and pretty much the majority of southwest Missouri in our area under this red flag warning until 8 o'clock tomorrow. And then everybody under a freeze warning through tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So we got a lot to talk about this afternoon. We begin with 7th and Range Line in Joplin. Not a lot to talk about there. It's a beautiful sky, beautiful day. It is 50, but here's why that red flag warning is out. North wind at 20 miles an hour. But it still feels like 50. And the other part of this, dew point and humidity very low across the area. Temperatures across the region are very fall-like, about seasonable for this time of year. 58 Center, 52 Chinook, 54 Parsons, 50 Neosho, and 46 in Monette here at the noon hour. And as we go through the rest of the day, still on track to reach a high in the lower to mid-50s, right around 56 in Joplin. We'll be sunny, we'll be clear, but we will also be very breezy. Now, because we are clear as we head into tonight, temperatures are going to drop very rapidly back behind the sunset, so we'll still be clear, but this is why we have the freeze warning. 26 for an overnight low tonight. And on the future track, other than some passing clouds around the area through the rest of the week, there's really not much else to show. But take note by Friday at noon, what it's suggesting at around 65, and you've seen those 80s pop in there? Yeah, 80s are going to become a thing. And then as we head into next week, we're hopeful for some additional rain chances. You can see by Monday, 3 a.m., some good widespread shower and maybe even thunderstorm chances. So we're having this pause in the rain now, which is not helpful for the drought situation, clearly not for the burning situation with those red flag warnings. We're looking at some additional shower chances Monday and then back through Tuesday, clearing out late Wednesday morning, leaving us with chilly temperatures yet again. And don't forget to stay on top of the latest weather information anywhere you go. Scan that QR code or go to your favorite app store and search for KOAM Skywatch Weather. You can get this KOAM Skywatch Weather app. It's like having the entire weather team in your pocket because you'll have the latest severe weather alerts, latest forecast, radar data, everything you need to know. So when you're not in front of your television, we're right there with you everywhere you go. Now to the 7-day, and this is where it gets a little more interesting, a little more tricky. We only make it to 48 degrees tomorrow, and then after that, and another, by the way, overnight low below freezing, 26 tomorrow night. Check out Wednesday, 58, not bad. Thursday, 73, okay, we're creeping up. And then look at what we do Friday through the weekend. We hit temperatures in the lower 80s. It's one heck of a roller coaster ride on temperatures. You can see we have the increasing cloud cover. Otherwise, we're dry. And like I said, we jump from 48 tomorrow to 82 by Friday. So in just, 72 hours time, a little more than that, we shoot up almost 30, 40 degrees in temperatures, and then check out the overnight lows. We go from the 20s tonight and tomorrow night to near 70 by Saturday night. So definitely a roller coaster ride out there for folks. But for at least tonight and tomorrow night, cover your vegetation outdoors, bring it in if you can, keep it safe. But by Wednesday, you'll be able to plop it right back out there, and it'll be just fine, like nothing ever happened.
That's true. Yeah, taste of winter when we should be in the middle of fall.
And then all of a sudden, here comes summer again, right?
There we go.
Right around the corner. You can get all 4 seasons in the next 7 days here in the 4 states.
For sure. If you are new to the 4 states,
this is common.
Welcome. This is our rollercoaster forecast.
Pretty average, but it's still just a little wild to see all of that spread of numbers all within one forecast graphic.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Specialist Clayton Crosby in the U.S. Navy. The Anderson, Missouri native served aboard the USS Princeton from 1959 to 1963. He earned the Vietnam Service Medal, the Navy Good Conduct Medal, and the National Defense Service Medal. To Clayton Crosby, we thank you, our 4-state hero. Today we're making a Julia Child favorite. Howard shows us what it is and tries his hand at pronouncing it in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
A few weeks ago, I was watching some vintage clips of Julia Child on YouTube, and I couldn't help but think how ahead of her time she was. The episode that stuck in my head was when she made beef bourguignon, which is basically a rich beef stew accented with red wine. So the other day I made my version of it, and now I want to share it with you. We begin by cutting some beef chuck into cubes. Then we add it to a bowl and season it with a bit of pepper and thyme before browning it in a large pot. Once it's browned, we add some beef broth, red wine, and a bit of garlic. We cover it and let it simmer. After this cooks for a bit, we'll toss in some chunks of carrot, potato, onions, and mushrooms and let those cook until they're tender. All that's left to do is thicken up the sauce and it's ready to serve. It's so basic, yet sounds so fancy. As for the taste, the sauce is so rich, the meat is crazy tender, and the vegetables bring the whole dish together. To get the recipe for what Julia called beef bourguignon with her one-of-a-kind accent, or to most of us, simply beef bourguignon, just go to our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a Julia Child-inspired way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
And you know what? Today is the perfect day to heat up a beef stew. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Well, we've got an alert day today for a red flag warning in effect for parts of southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri through 8 tonight, and then a freeze warning. It goes into effect at midnight and runs through 10 a.m. tomorrow. So we drop back down to 26 tonight, only 48 tomorrow, and then as you saw on the 7-day, we reach the lower 80s by the weekend.
Ooh-wee.
Talk about
Quite
a crazy
change.
ride, yeah.
All right, well, bundle up. First part of the week. There you go. Well, coming up tonight at 5, after a historic ruling, hearing aids are about to become more accessible and cost-effective. Adults will soon be able to buy hearing aids over the counter. In Health Watch, we take a look at what that means for consumers. Plus, elections are less than a month away. Today, we look at a question on the Kansas ballot that will determine if sheriff's positions should continue to be an elected seat. And the Better Business Bureau offers tips for anyone making a pink purchase to help the Breast Cancer Foundation. Join us for those stories and much more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
Yeah, so we got a lot coming up at 5 and a lot of just kind of wild weather. You're going to need the jacket or coat now, and then you'll be in shorts by the end of the week. Yep. So make sure you keep all your wardrobe selections handy.
Don't put away those summer clothes yet.
Not yet. Well, thanks for joining us for the KOAM News at noon.
Rest of the team, we'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.